We have already seen earlier diseases of blood vessels, including atherosclerosis, aneurysm formation. Today we will begin with diseases of the heart. And the first disease we will discuss is the most important disease of the heart, that is ischemic heart disease. This topic of ischemic heart disease will be dealt in two parts. Today we will deal with the first part, and this will be continued in another session which will take up the second part of ischemic heart disease. Learning objectives for today's session. At the end of the session, students will be able to recall the normal anatomy and blood supply of heart, describe the epidemiology, risk factors of ischemic heart disease, describe the etiology and pathophysiology of ischemic heart disease, list the different presentations of ischemic heart disease, describe different types of angina. Before we see the diseases of the heart, let us have a recap of normal heart. We know the normal heart weights 250 to 300 grams in females, 300 to 350 grams in males. The normal thickness of the wall is right ventricle is 0.3 to 0.5 centimeter and left ventricle thickness is 1.3 to 1.5 centimeter thickness. It is important to know the normal weight and the normal thickness of the ventricular walls, so that in later when we discuss the diseases, we know whether the size of the wall has increased or not, the size of the left ventricle wall has increased in thickness or not. The heart has coverings. We all know pericardium, which is a double serous membrane. Outer layer is the parietal pericardium, and the inner is the visceral pericardium, which is just next to the heart, and pericardial fluid fills the space between the layers of the pericardium. The heart wall lined by three layers. Epicardium is the outside layer, which is the visceral pericardium. It is a connective tissue layer. The middle layer is the myocardium, which is the mostly composed of cardiac muscle. We know there are three types of muscle in our body: the smooth muscle, the skeletal muscle, and the heart muscle. Heart muscle or the cardiac muscle is also a striated muscle, but it is an involuntary type of striated muscle, and this is mainly responsible for the pumping function of the heart. The inner layer is the endocardium, which is lined by the endothelium. There are some terminologies which we must know before we see the diseases of the heart. Hypertrophy. Hypertrophy of the heart, when we say, it indicates greater heart weight or ventricular thickness increased. So whenever these two are there, we call it the hypertrophy of heart. Dilation is when the chamber size is enlarged. So hypertrophy is the heart weight and the thickness, whereas if the chamber size is enlarged, we call it dilation. Any increase in cardiac weight or size, it may be due to hypertrophy or due to dilation, is called as cardiomegaly. So these are some terminologies which will be coming in many diseases of the heart. Function of heart, we know how the blood passes from superior inferior vena cava to the right atrium, through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle, through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary trunk and to the lungs. From the lungs, it reaches the left atrium through the pulmonary veins, and from the left atrium to the left ventricle by bicuspid valve, from the left ventricle through the aortic valve into the aorta, and the blood is supplied to the body. Let us have a look at this case. A 68-year male complaining of chest pain is brought to the emergency room by ambulance. Pain began 6 hours ago and has become more severe over the past hour. He describes this pain as retrosternal and pressure-like. He endorses sweating and mild dyspnea with the pain. He has medical history of hypertension and smokes 1 pack of cigarettes per day. On examination, he has cold, clammy extremities. Pulse is 92 per minute. Now, what does this male patient have? Why is he having this pain? Why did he develop this pain? What is the pathogenesis or pathology behind this pain? What is the diagnosis? What are the differential diagnoses? How will we investigate this case? So these are the questions that arise in our mind, and we will solve these questions as we go ahead and understand the ischemic heart diseases. So our topic for today is ischemic heart disease. Before we go to that, let us have a recap of the blood supply of heart. Myocardium needs constant supply of oxygenated blood, and it is extremely vulnerable to ischemia. So there are 3 major epicardial coronary arteries which supply blood to the heart. It is the left coronary artery and the right coronary artery. This is the left coronary artery and this is the right coronary artery. The left coronary artery divides into left circumflex artery and left anterior descending artery, which we call as LAD. This is LCX and this is RCA. So we will see how they supply, right? LAD is the main vessel which supplies the apex of the heart, the anterior wall of the left ventricle and anterior 2/3 of the interventricular septum. Left circumflex supplies the lateral wall of the left ventricle. The right coronary artery supplies the right ventricle, posterobasal wall of left ventricle and posterior 1/3 of septum by its posterior descending branch. So we must know the supply of the areas of heart by the vessels. Now coming to ischemic heart disease. Ischemic heart disease refers to a group of closely related diseases. They may be acute or chronic, in which there is an inadequate supply of blood and oxygen to the myocardium or a portion of myocardium. So there is imbalance between the myocardial oxygen demand and the myocardial blood supply. So there is an imbalance between demand and supply. When we say ischemia, we know that ischemia refers to insufficient blood flow. So it is not the same as hypoxia, which means decreased oxygen. Ischemia leads to hypoxia, but hypoxia can be due to many other causes also. It can be due to ischemia, but it can be due to other causes like anemia, cyanotic heart diseases, etc. So in the heart, ischemic heart diseases are due to inadequate supply of blood and oxygen to the myocardium. And whenever the blood supply is stopped, this further leads to reduced availability of nutrient substrates to that part of the myocardium. And also there is inadequate removal of metabolites from the myocardium, which has stopped receiving its blood supply. Ischemic heart disease is the most common cause of death in developed countries. 90% of cases, the myocardial ischemia or the decrease in blood supply to the myocardium is due to coronary artery narrowing and obstruction. As I said, it includes many diseases, acute and chronic. So what are the clinical manifestations or types of ischemic heart diseases? The first or the main one is the acute myocardial infarction. We will study this in detail. In this infarction, ischemia leads to frank necrosis. So there is frank death of the myocardial cells. Next is angina pectoris. There is ischemia, but it is not severe enough to cause infarction or necrosis. But definitely there is an increased risk towards infarction. The third is chronic ischemic heart disease with heart failure. And the fourth is sudden cardiac death. So these four diseases are included in IHD. Acute MI, angina, chronic ischemic heart disease with heart failure, and sudden cardiac death. If we look at the epidemiology or incidence of ischemic heart diseases, it is the leading cause of death in industrialized nations. But now, as we already discussed in our lecture on atherosclerosis also, incidence of such diseases are increasing in India also. Though these numbers are high, however, substantial improvement has been achieved by many ways. One is prevention, which can be achieved by modification of risk factors like smoking, BP, cholesterol, lifestyle, control of diabetes, control of obesity, aspirin prophylaxis. And another is, if the disease has occurred, then better diagnostic and therapeutic advances, such as we know use of stents, use of statins. We have more number of coronary care units and angiography, angioplasties and bypass surgeries. So all these are responsible for early and effective treatment, which is a big help in treating these cases. Etiopathogenesis. As I said earlier, 90% of cases are due to coronary narrowing, and this narrowing is due to coronary atherosclerosis. So 90% cases are due to coronary atherosclerosis, and that is why this disease is also called as coronary heart disease. Clinical manifestations of coronary heart disease are generally due to two things. One is the fixed atheromatous plaque that we see in the coronary arteries, which causes progressive narrowing of the lumen, leading to stenosis of the coronary vessels. And second is the superadded changes which occur in the atherosclerotic plaque, that is acute rupture, erosion, etc., which compromise the blood flow and lead to myocardial infarction. 10% of cases are due to non-atherosclerotic causes. So 90% it is due to atherosclerosis, and that we'll discuss in two ways. One is the fixed atheromatous plaque, that is chronic present, progressively increasing, and these are some acute changes which occur in the plaque. So first we see the fixed atheromatous plaque in coronary atherosclerosis. We'll see both the pathologies of atherosclerosis. So fixed atheromatous plaques are the plaques which are mostly eccentrically located. You can see here, this is the plaque. This yellow is the lipid core and this is the fibrous cap. These are eccentric, bulging into the lumen and gradually leading to luminal narrowing, called as fixed coronary obstruction. So this is nothing sudden or acute, but this is gradual progression of the occupying of the lumen, and this leads to fixed coronary obstruction. So the fixed atheromatous plaque, many conditions are responsible for the infarction to develop. It depends upon the number and the distribution of vessels affected. So vessels, it can affect one or more of the coronary artery trunks. LAD is the maximum or the highest affected. Then circumflex branch of left coronary artery. LAD and circumflex, the plaque usually develops within the first few centimeters of LAD and LCX. And the third vessel obstruction can be right coronary artery, in which the plaque can occur along its entire length. Regarding the number of vessels affected, 1/3 cases occur due to single vessel disease, 1/3 due to 2 vessel, and remaining 1/3 due to 3 vessel involvement. Another thing that is responsible for the type of infarction, to the extent of infarction, it all depends also on the degree of stenosis of the lumen. So if the luminal stenosis of the coronary arteries is less than 75%, it is asymptomatic. Stenotic lesions which obstruct more than 75% of the cross-sectional area of coronary artery or its branch defines significant coronary artery disease. And this disease, it precipitates ischemia on exercise. Okay, so if the stenosis is more than 75% of the coronary artery lumen, it signifies significant coronary artery disease, and these patients may develop ischemia on exercise whenever there is excessive pressure or exertion on the heart. But if the stenosis is more than 90%, this can lead to ischemia or inadequate blood flow even at rest. So, stenosis more than 90%, even at rest it can occur. Other factor which determines is the rate of development of occlusion. So, occlusion may be a slow occlusion or an acute blockage. If the occlusion is slow, it gives time to develop collateral circulation. But if it is acute, there is no time for collateral circulation and may lead to infarct earlier than expected. Then there are many factors which convert the plaque from the stable plaque to an unstable atheromatous plaque. So if the plaque is stable, it will lead to fixed coronary atherosclerosis. But if it is converted to an unstable plaque, which is more susceptible or vulnerable to rupture or erode, that will again lead to certain other manifestation of ischemic heart disease. Now, what do we mean when we say stable plaque, unstable plaque? So, stable means the plaque has a dense fibrous capsule, less inflammation, less necrotic core, and it is fixed. Whereas an unstable or a vulnerable plaque will have more inflammation, more lipid, fibrous cap may be thin, which thus more likely to rupture. So after talking about the fixed atherosclerosis, we come to the acute plaque changes which can occur in the atheromatous plaque. So acute changes which can occur in the plaques are hemorrhage, rupture, fissuring, erosion, ulceration. All these may lead to thrombosis, embolization, and these acute plaque changes generally lead to 3 conditions. It can lead to unstable angina, it can lead to acute MI, or it can lead to sudden cardiac death. Now these changes, these are very catastrophic changes, and spectrum of these 3 acute catastrophic manifestations of heart disease are known as acute coronary syndrome. And these acute coronary syndrome results from acute changes in morphology of atheromatous plaque, that is either disruption, rupture, or any other change. So, unstable angina, acute MI, and sudden cardiac death. These are the part of acute coronary syndrome which occurs due to the superadded changes or the acute plaque rupture. We know that angina is mainly of two more types, but the common ones is the stable angina and the unstable angina. So it is the unstable angina which is occurring due to plaque disruption, and then acute MI and sudden cardiac death. So out of the ischemic heart diseases, these three are called as acute coronary syndrome. Now, the factors which cause these acute plaque changes may be coronary artery spasm, tachycardia, hemorrhage inside the plaque, hypercholesterolemia, and so on. So here we can see in this diagram. So this was the plaque we saw as fixed atheromatous plaque. But can you see here there has been an ulceration in the plaque. So whenever there is ulceration in this plaque, so this is a circular section, this is a longitudinal section. So here there is a rupture or in the surface, so breach in the surface, that is ulceration in the plaque. So this surface gets exposed, platelets aggregate, lead to thrombus formation, and this thrombus formation can go on increasing, expanding and occlude the whole lumen. So this is what happens whenever there are acute plaque changes, rupture, erosion, hemorrhage. So these condition leads to acute coronary syndrome, that is, it can lead to unstable angina, myocardial infarction and sudden cardiac death. So if we see diagrammatically, this is the how the disease progresses. This is the normal lumen. This is an atheromatous plaque which is known as fixed coronary obstruction. So this here the plaque is very stable plaque, right? So this plaque type of obstruction leads to development of typical angina. Okay. But whenever there is plaque disruption, so if the plaque has ulcerated or disrupted, it will lead to thrombus formation. If thrombus can occlude the whole lumen, it will lead to acute myocardial infarction, that is transmural type, or sudden death. And if the thrombus is not completely occluding, so variable obstruction, this will lead to unstable angina, acute MI or sudden death. And these two are called the acute coronary syndromes: unstable angina, acute MI and the sudden death. And if the plaque remains fixed without any superadded changes, progressively increasing in size, this leads to chronic ischemic heart disease. So these are all the manifestations of ischemic heart disease. So fixed plaque leads to typical angina, but any acute changes in the plaque will lead to either unstable angina, acute MI, subendocardial or transmural, or sudden cardiac death. And if the plaque remains fixed and progressively increases, it leads to chronic ischemic heart disease. That is about the 90% cases in which the atherosclerosis is the cause of myocardial infarction, angina and other ischemic heart diseases. 10% cases are due to non-atherosclerotic causes, which may be due to coronary vasospasm without there being any narrowing, stenosis of coronary ostia, which can be due to involvement by the syphilitic aortitis or by the atheromatous plaque which is arising in the aortic area, then vasculitis, inflammatory involvement, then embolism from somewhere else in the body, vegetations from bacterial endocarditis, thrombotic diseases, that is hypercoagulability, trauma to the vessel wall, contusion of artery from penetrating injuries, leading to thrombotic occlusion, aneurysm can lead to obstruction, compression by primary or secondary tumor of the heart leading to coronary occlusion. So this is why ischemic heart diseases occur. So just for a recall, the pathogenesis involves 90% of cases, it involves the coronary atherosclerosis, 10% is non-atherosclerotic causes. In coronary atherosclerosis, the manifestation may be due to fixed atheromatous plaque or it may be due to acute plaque rupture. The fixed atheromatous plaque, many factors are responsible for development of ischemic heart disease. It may be depending on the number of vessels affected, the type of vessels, the rate of occlusion, the surrounding collateral circulation, factors like inflammation which may convert a stable plaque into a vulnerable plaque, and so on. So this is responsible for fixed coronary occlusion, and if in cases where there is the plaque becomes unstable, vulnerable, ruptures, it leads to acute coronary syndrome, which may be unstable angina, acute myocardial infarction, or sudden cardiac death. Now we will just have a quick overview of angina pectoris. What is angina pectoris? It is characterized by paroxysmal and recurrent attacks of substernal or precordial chest discomfort. Rather than pain, it is a discomfort, which is squeezing, choking, knife-like or constricting. And this chest pain or chest discomfort is caused by transient, for a short time, transient myocardial ischemia that falls short of inducing cellular necrosis. This means that there is ischemia, but the ischemia is insufficient to cause necrosis or infarction. It is the most common manifestation of coronary artery disease. Here the pain or the discomfort, it occurs due to release of adenosine, bradykinin, etc., which are released due to ischemia, and they stimulate sympathetic and vagal afferent nerves. Types of angina. There are three types of angina: typical or stable angina, unstable or crescendo type of angina, and the Prinzmetal type of angina. Typical angina or stable angina is the most common type of angina. In this, there is generally a deep squeezing, burning sensation, or it may be a substernal pain. But this pain or discomfort occurs only with stress or exertion. And this pain is relieved by rest or nitroglycerin. So the character of the pain is the pain occurs with exertion or exercise, and it is relieved by rest. And as I said earlier, the cause is due to the fixed coronary atherosclerotic plaque, the eccentrically located plaque, the stable plaque. The second type of angina is the unstable or crescendo type of angina. Here there is a frank pain. This frank pain is of longer duration, progressively increasing in frequency, and this pain also occurs at rest. So at rest also the pain occurs. Now we've already seen what is the cause of this pain in unstable angina. It is due to the disruption or acute rupture of the atheromatous plaque with superimposed thrombosis with variable obstruction or vasospasm. So this is due to acute plaque rupture. And what does it lead to? It may progress to subsequent myocardial infarction, and that is why it is also called as pre-infarction angina. Third type is a Prinzmetal type. This is a variant angina. It is not very common, episodic type of angina. It occurs at rest. But the cause here is due to coronary artery spasm. So patient may have underlying atherosclerosis, but the cause of the pain is of Prinzmetal is due to coronary artery spasm. And this angina, this pain, it responds to vasodilators. So we see this diagram again to see the types of angina which I have described. So normal, this is fixed coronary obstruction leading to typical angina. And whenever there is plaque rupture or disruption, this leads to thrombosis, and that leads to unstable type of angina. And as I said, Prinzmetal is a variant angina. So that completes our angina, and that completes our first part of ischemic heart disease. In the part 2 of IHD, we will see the more important disease, that is the myocardial infarctions. Any questions? Thank you and have a good day. Thank you.